This is DJI's newest mobile gimbal, the Osmo Mobile 6. It released in September this year, and everyone is asking the age-old question, should I upgrade? Today we're going to talk about why it may or may not be worth it. So being that this gimbal just came out, its price is at its highest point right now at $159.99, compared to the now year-old Osmo 5, which is $129.99. Right out of the box, it comes with the tripod stand, the phone clamp, a charging cord, and a carrying pouch. One thing I find interesting is that this gimbal doesn't come with a wrist strap like the Osmo 5 does, which isn't a big deal. I'm just not 100% why they wouldn't still include one. Aside from that, here are some of the biggest differences, which we'll go over more in depth in a moment. It has a new quick launch function, a gimbal mode switch button, a focus/zoom wheel, an optimized phone clamp, and an advanced ActiveTrack. So first, the quick launch feature. Given you've already downloaded the DJI Mimo app, once you've already paired the phone with the gimbal, the second you snap your phone on, you'll get a notification at the top of your screen asking if you want to launch the Mimo app. Tapping it will take you directly to the app so you can begin your shooting. As simple as it is, this feature is great because if you're out, you never know if you'll find something worth shooting. The only drawback to this is that it's only available for the iPhone. Hopefully this will be changed in the future, but for now the iPhone is all we can use. But also, I don't use the Mimo app for shooting because I use the iPhone 14 Pro and the built-in camera app, which I've found it surprisingly produces better quality footage. There will also be a video talking more about that coming soon, so stick around for that. Next, we have the mode switch button and display. This gimbal has the mode display the Osmo 5 was lacking, where it shows the mode you currently have it on. It has 4 modes right now, which you can go through by pressing the M button on it. There's follow mode, which follows the direction you pan or tilt the gimbal in. Tilt lock mode, which locks the tilt feature for level pan shots. FPV mode, which allows for pan, tilt, and roll, so you can turn it in just about every direction. And finally, the spin mode, where you can use the joystick to spin the phone. Each of these modes have a symbol that's displayed on the gimbal, which is great, so you don't have to keep track of how many times you hit the button. You can just look at the display and see. Then there's the very handy focus/zoom wheel. To switch between focus and zoom, you push the wheel in, just like a button. These iPhones are getting more and more advanced as time goes on, which means they can have a more shallow depth of field. So the focus wheel is great because you can easily switch your focus from one thing to another. And of course, as always, the zoom allows you to get closer to your subject. The wheel is a huge upgrade from the switch that was on the Osmo 5. It really just feels more dynamic and is significantly easier to control, which better control will always mean a better end product. The next feature isn't exactly a huge one, but is definitely an important one. It's the optimized phone clamp. There is not a huge change, but now it can allow for a larger screen, which is very convenient if you use 2 phones or if you're sharing it with someone who has a larger screen. The last new feature to go over is the new ActiveTrack 5.0. On the last gimbal from DJI, there were definitely some complaints about the ActiveTrack, so DJI has answered our prayers and made it even better than before. The enhanced ActiveTrack is now more stable and has a longer following distance and handles more complex scenarios like the side of the face and the back of the head much more gracefully. So, those are the new features, but how does the design hold up? Well, I think it holds up really well. All of the controls are easily accessible, and while it is slightly heavier than the Osmo 5, it's not enough of a difference to be a major concern. I also find that the dark gray is more sleek than the light gray and almost pink the Osmo 5 came in. The only problem is the built-in extending rod isn't exactly the easiest to pull out. As I'm demonstrating here, I cannot get it out right now. It takes some muscle, but it's probably for stability purposes, so again, these cons aren't big enough for it to be a big deal. But even after all these changes and updates, should you upgrade to the Osmo 6? Well, the answer is a little more complicated than a simple yes or no. If you already have an Osmo 5, it might be worth it to wait another year for the next one. The Osmo 6 is great, by all means, but there aren't really enough big changes to switch. If you currently don't own a phone gimbal at all, then this is definitely worth it. As much as it's slightly more expensive, if you're going to pick between the two, you might as well go with the Osmo 6. If you still can't choose, I left links to both of them in the description below, so you can make the decision for yourself. If you really like this video, you might also like the rest of my channel, so feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and as always, go make some awesome content.